What's up, everybody? It's your boy Musa here again. This is another episode of PICK6 podcast. I got my guys here with me, Ty and Mike. How y'all doing today?
Doing good. How about you guys?
Doing good.
Doing great, man. You know, my Colorado team went out on a ass, if I'm being honest. But
you're gonna have a good year next year. Trust me, I'm telling you. With those recruits in that conference, if the conference doesn't step up, they should win that conference next year. No problem.
We'll see, but we're going to save some of that talk for tomorrow's episode. But, you know, my Pats got demolished. I knew they was going to lose, but you let the Chargers hang 40 is kind of disgusting. But nonetheless, congratulations to the Chargers. They are in the playoffs after their win against the Patriots yesterday. But we're going to talk about some big games that we didn't get to touch base on yet. Chiefs clinched the first seed in the AFC. The Ravens take control of the AFC North after beating the Steelers at home. And then we got to have the big discussion. Who's the MVP? Because we got someone who played last night who will definitely be in this conversation and be a little bit more louder if the record was otherwise. And that's Joe Burrow. But first things first, we're going to start with the Chiefs. We're going to get the quickest thing out the way. Chiefs clinched the number one seed in the AFC after their win over the Christmas game over the Houston Texans at home. I would love to hear you guys' thoughts on that game. And I'm sorry, against the Steelers. I mixed up the two teams. They played against the Steelers. 29-10 was the final score. They played on the road. Mahomes and the offense finally looked like the Chiefs offense we are accustomed to seeing over the past few years. Threw for 320 yards, 3 touchdowns. Kelsey turned back the clock with 8 catches for 84 yards and a touchdown. Steelers had some struggles. I would love to hear you guys' thoughts on this game. And what did it mean for the Chiefs now that they have the home field advantage?
Well, the Chiefs the past 2 weeks, they've looked really good in there. Look at where they are right now compared to where they were last year. They got beat by the Raiders on Christmas, where I don't believe the Raiders scored an offensive touchdown. Jack Jones had 2 picks. They might have been even one for a touchdown. As soon as Hollywood Brown came back, that offense is looking good. So I don't see anyone beating them. I'm not going to lie. In either conference, the Steelers. It's tough with Pickens just coming back on a short week of rest. I'm not buying into really any team's performance, whether it be the Texans, Ravens, Steelers, or Chiefs on Christmas, because none of these teams have really gone a Saturday to Wednesday before, and since COVID time, really. So I think the Steelers are still, if they can get their offense in check, they might have a shot at going after the Chiefs and keeping it a close game. But I don't see them beating them. But the Steelers, they got a lot of problems on the offensive side of the ball based on what I saw on Wednesday.
Ty, with the Puka background.
Honestly, I was gonna cut you off when you said some struggles for the Steelers, because I think what we've seen the past 3 weeks should be alarming to Steeler fans, because it feels like a complete 180. This is not the same team. And I kind of agree with Mike, Pickens coming back on a short week. But I think the problem is more than Pickens's health. I saw Terrell Owens go on Twitter because after the game, a lot of Steelers players were basically throwing the defense under the bus. And I agree, because you want to say Travis Kelce turned back the clock, but Travis Kelce was open every time.
Sure was.
So what's going on defensively, and it hurts because defensively, that's the strongest point of this team. So if they can't get it go defensively, you're asking for way too much from the offense standpoint. But with Pickens, he it feels like sometimes he gives up on routes, and I don't know if he already knows the play calling is terrible or he doesn't trust Russell Wilson. But whatever it is, it's not a good thing. Um, and I I don't know. I don't think the Steelers. I think the Steelers are showing everyone who they really were, um, and it kind of like has me thinking: was the change from Fields to Russell even necessary? Um,
Absolutely.
because if the defense is going to give up on this, and we've seen Russell turn the ball over, stupid decisions. Um, he can put up the points. I know they wanted to go to Russell because, Fields wasn't putting up the points, but Fields wasn't turning the ball over on stupid decisions. So I think there's a lot of things to consider if you're the Steelers. Um, and honestly, right now, depending on who they match up with, they look like they're one and done. So
Yes. Before I hop on to the Steelers and their struggles, I want to touch on what the Chiefs was able to do very well. Um, for one thing, it looks like they finally got it right so far with Xavier Worthy and these speedsters when they're drafting him. I feel like the best way to utilize him is what they did in that game, and that is the short stops. Give him a lot of reps in short amount of space and let him do the work, get a lot of yak. And that was something that they did really well for him, and it gave him good results. It also helps that they did their homework because if you guys know, the Steelers are one of the worst teams when it comes to stopping a quick pass and RPOs. And that's what, if you notice, that was the most the Chiefs ever ran RPO this season was against the Steelers on Wednesday. So that just shows that that was one of the glaring weaknesses that the Steelers had on defense, and the Chiefs were able to expose that. Another thing I would like to mention is the Steelers, right? They just had too many lapses on defense. And to your point, I see what you mean, Ty, as far as the hindsight. What's the point of going to Russell if you guys are going to just give up on defense, blow assignments, and y'all lose, right? So I hear you on that aspect. But at the same time, it was necessary because their passing offense was almost dead last with Fields. And it's been a complete 180 since Russell's been in the lineup. The problem was against the Chiefs was the Chiefs was able to play them in a lot of man-to-man and zone. Spagnuolo did a great scheme against Russell. And this was without Chris Jones, I want to mention. And then looking at the Steelers defense, one player in particular, I forgot the safety's name or the DB. He came down. This is with the play that Kelsey got open and got like a burned everything for like 20 yards. He came down. He's communicating with the linebacker to cover the zone because he's going to blitz. And once the ball got hiked, the DB blitzes, but the linebacker doesn't watch the zone, and Kelsey goes right wide open over the middle. So it's little mislaps like that, and the team just balling over frustrations. That cost him that game. I do believe Mike Tomlin can get it under wraps, especially with the defense. Issue I have is the picking side of things. This is not new coming from that position since Tomlin's been there. I don't like using the word divas because I don't look at them as divas because all players complain, even quarterbacks. So I'm not going to use that term. But I will say Pickens has to get his emotions under wrap and understand this is just the cycles of the game. Things are going to happen. You got to stay locked in mentally if you're going to have any chance of even getting out the AFC, let alone winning this division, now that the Ravens took control. So those are the kind of things I took away from it. This is Mahomes' worst season statistically since he's been a starter, and they're 15-1. So it's like that's the scary side of it, and they're being carried mostly by their defense. And I think they haven't scored over 30 points yet this season. And the crazy thing about that is everyone on that list that hasn't scored over 30 points this season are all teams with 4 or less wins. So that just goes to show you what they're built of. And they got that championship mentality, and I think they're going to be just fine going into the playoffs. I think they rest their players against the Pats I think it's the Pats last week.
No, Broncos.
The Broncos. So I believe they rested players against the Broncos last week. Sorry, I was thinking about the Bills. Um, I think that helps the Broncos because they blew an egg yesterday, which we're going to talk about soon. They blew an egg, so I think them being able to rest their starters against the Broncos the last week of the season helps the Broncos get in potentially. But knowing how Andy Reid is, I don't think he wants to help the Broncos at all. 'Cause I think that's one team he doesn't want to see if they get a chance to see in the playoffs because of them being so familiar with their schemes and things of that nature. So that's my take on that game.
One thing too is I think it's 23 days in between Wednesday and their first playoff game, seeing they have a bye. So you really want to rest guys for 23 days too. That's the other side of that.
True. And plus, for example, with Chris Jones, like he was already out last on Wednesday, so he's probably going to have almost a month off. That could do a lot of good for his body, considering how much he has to bang in the trenches. I think it will benefit a lot for Kelsey. But I say they play next week, and then the last week they probably sit, so they have at least 2 weeks off, rest. And one thing you don't want to see Kansas City off a bye week, and you're gonna have to go to Kansas City, go to Arrowhead, and play them. So it's tough, but they're in the driver's seat now. They got a big chance to three-peat.
You got to think about it too, though. This is like a bye week for them because the game is on Wednesday. So can Andy Reid even do it with the backups? Never, even if he does sit the starters too.
That's true. Give a few starters, like the old lineman has to play, unfortunately, but give like the other key positions some snaps to get a little bit of rhythm and then sit on the rest of the game. Treat it like a preseason as far as limited snaps. But I do have breaking news. It was reported about 20 minutes ago by I believe Rappaport. Garrett Wilson could request a trade if the Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback next year for the Jets. So that's something that was reported. Potential weather games to monitor also this week. We got the Titans and Jags, Bills, Jets, the Panthers, Bucks, Cowboys, Eagles, Dolphins, Browns, Falcons, and Commanders. So, but yeah, I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts on that Wilson potential asking for a trade.
Look at what happened to his son Reddick. He can request all he wants. Is Woody going to trade him? That's to be determined. I think we talked about this too back when Adams went there. I think a lot of us saw this coming. It's no shock here, and I don't know. It sounds to me like they're sticking with Rodgers if this is the case, because I don't think he would say this if they weren't sticking with Rodgers.
True.
I think it's more, honestly, yeah, like Mike said, as soon as Adams came, we already said it. And I told you guys I was afraid of his limited targets. And it's not only even just the limited targets. If you go back and watch their offensive snaps the last couple weeks, this guy is open. He's open, and Rodgers is just like force feeding it to Adams. Adams got two guys on him. Yeah, I know he's Devontae Adams, but Garrett Wilson's wide open.
And he's Garrett Wilson.
Like, I don't know if this is, Rodgers and Adams trying to, basically like perform for other teams and go team up somewhere else. But it's just ridiculous because I would think, the season's over, and we see this from a bunch of teams where the season's over and you still got a veteran quarterback. What does that veteran quarterback do? Okay, let me start throwing it to these young guys. Let me get them the offensive snaps. Let them make these plays. Let them get in that rhythm. So by next season, they have that experience. Nope, he's just throwing it to his buddy. Like, what does Devontae Adams have left to prove? Like, this doesn't make sense. But
I'm all good for hypotheticals. Let's see. Yeah, where I was going with it. What team do you think he will fit best on?
I think he should go to the Commanders, in my opinion.
You speaking my language?
because
Scary Terry? Oh, you
because
giving Scary Terry the second DB? Oh my
bro,
god!
because Scary Terry already averages almost like 12 targets a game. So if Cliff Kingsbury is there next year, that they're gonna spread the ball more, and I think they'll actually probably draft a receiver, um, depending where they land. But I think he should go to the Commanders. Everywhere else, he kind of has to start pretty much the same. I don't
I'm
think
thinking
there's
about
any.
having him go to a contender.
I don't think
Chargers.
there's any contender that's gonna. Well, yeah, Chargers. Um, yeah, honestly, that's about it. But if he wants like a real Super Bowl contender, it's kind of hard. Now, a lot of them um, are gonna eventually be able to pay him. So that's the number one thing as well.
Mike,
Yeah, Chargers. I think if he wants to work out a team that, because we don't know, he can't get traded this year, but that has a chance to be a contender next year. I don't know how many years is left on his rookie deal. I believe 1 or 2, based off when he was drafted. But we'll see with the Commanders. I think the Commanders are in such a good position where they could draft a receiver to get him for cheaper money for a longer period of time, because they got a rookie quarterback for the next 4 years on a rookie deal. I don't know what McLaurin's status is for his contract, but I'm sure that's coming due soon. So I think the Commanders could get him if they want to spend the money, but I'd shore up those defensive backs with the extra cap space from the Commanders.
yeah, the Commanders, the Chargers are some good choices. I'm thinking Carolina could be another good choice if we're not thinking about non-contenders, considering they're gonna need a number one receiver. And then that could put Thielen kind of in his veteran position, and then you still have Leggett. Um, I was thinking the Giants pair him up with neighbors. You get Shador, Cam Ward. Now you're in the thick of things. Um, of course you don't go and say my Patriots. If I'm the Patriots, throw the house at the Jets. They're gonna be. It's the Jets. They're never gonna be relevant anyway. Throw the house at them. Go get Garrett Wilson. Give him the extension enough where you could try to even still get T. Higgins. If you can't get T. Higgins, you still got Garrett Wilson. And if depending on your draft seating, you might still be able to get Travis. So, and then sign some old linemen, but I can see that being the case. What about the Broncos? I like him in Denver.
One
I
thing
mean, Bo Nix was killing me because he was showing flashes of some great passes, and then he throws some overthrows that could have won him the game. But you add him there with Cortland Sutton. Mims seems like he could be a great slot receiver. You got the run game with that defense. I like it. I like it a lot. So there's a lot of teams he can go to, but the one team I think legit contender wise would probably be the Bills. If I doubt the Jets trading within the division though, but that's something I can think. I kind of could see that happen maybe if they were to do that, but that's that for that hypothetical. We're gonna move it right along with the next game that was Wednesday. We had the Ravens versus the
Hold on, there's
Texans.
one more team.
Oh yep.
I just want to put this out there because I just put 2 and 2 together. Especially when I was talking about him not getting the ball, he really complained after the Rams game. Then
Cleveland
went to hold on. So he complained after the Rams game. Then he went to praise Rams offensive coordinator Mike LaFleur, who used to be his offensive coordinator. And I'm just saying sleeper team because we know how Cooper Kupp is playing now. I think the Rams may cut ties with Cooper Kupp, and we've seen them not care about draft picks. So
who
sleeper
giving up that
team.
number? Puka gonna have to give up that number?
Nah, he's gonna wear 5. Tutu Atwell will give up that number. And Tutu's a free agent anyway, so that's a sleeper team. Just that's if Mike LaFleur doesn't get hired as a head coach, because we know how the NFL coaching vacancies feel about people under McVay's staff. So we'll see. But that's a sleeper team.
That's a good one. I didn't think of that. And then looking at that division too, the
Cardinals.
Cardinals can use them.
Yeah. If the
I'm not gonna
49ers
lie. If he
did
ever went
not
to the,
pay,
go ahead, Ty.
if the 49ers did not pay Brandon Ayuk this year,
I was just about to say that. I'm
that
not
would've been
gonna
his
lie. You
replacement.
put Garrett Wilson on that San Fran offense. Oh my goodness. Because it clearly shows it don't matter who the running back is. Well, once you get past like the second or third string. But that'll be nice to see.
IU contract is so bad. I don't know. I can't believe they did that. Well, the drop off between
you got Mike started, Ty.
the drop off between him and Jawan Jennings, you just see it this year. Yes, there's a drop off, but not for the money they're paying him with all the other guys that they got to pay on that team. It doesn't make sense.
To be fair, though, he did get hurt in Ayuk, but also for viewers, because I don't want you guys to think, because a lot of you guys be thinking Mike is just nasty with his takes. Some of the takes do be nasty, but Mike's been saying it before the injury that San Fran should never gave Ayuk all that money. So just want to put that out there. We're going to move right along, though. We got the Ravens and Texans game, or what was a so-called game. Ravens, belt to asses, 31-2. Luckily, it should have been a shutout. I'm not going to wait. I ain't going to say too much. I'm just going to smile about this, you know. What's your guys' thoughts on this game, Ravens and the Texans?
I don't think the Texans really cared about winning and didn't show much. I think regardless, even if they did show much, I don't think the score would have been much different anyway. I think the Texans suck, quite frankly. I think whoever they play the first round, they lose, whether even if it's the Steelers. I think the Steelers beat them, whether they have Fields in there or Russell Wilson. I don't think it matters, but we'll see what happens. I don't think who's Baltimore play? They play the Cleveland next week, so if DTR is playing, I don't see them losing that. So they'll probably win the division. In all honesty, unless they go back to Jameis Winston next week.
Ty,
I mean, wasn't really much to say. That Texans offense just can't find the rhythm. Haven't had the rhythm all season. So honestly, this was just your typical Derrick Henry running down the defense's throat, Lamar scoring the touchdowns. That was pretty much it. But this is how you play towards the end of the season. Not like close games like the Bills and Patriots last week, but that's for another conversation.
we're about to get right into it in a moment. Don't worry. Yeah, I agree. The offense is, again, I've been saying this, so let me backtrack. I've been saying this all year about them. I don't know what Baltimore team I'm going to get week to week, and that's why it's so hard for me to keep rooting for them, but I'm going to die on the hill because I'm a Lamar guy, Lamar FC. So, and I love Derrick Henry's game too. So I'm gonna die on this hill. But the reason why I'm getting more hope is the offense is doing what it typically has done from throughout the season. But now the defense is finally looking like the damn defense we all known and love when it comes to Baltimore. I ain't saying they're one of the best defenses like they were in the past seasons, but they're starting to be more comfortable, and that's the key for them to win, especially if you're going to have to go to Arrowhead. More likely, you're going to have to go to Arrowhead if you want to get to the Super Bowl in Vegas this year. So I think they were just good at all facets of the game. Lamar didn't have to throw the ball at all really this game. I think he threw for 10 times, 12 times. He didn't have to throw the ball. The defense was getting stops, pick sixes. You had Henry running the ball the way he's been running it all year, and this is with him with a kind of a foot off the gas because he doesn't have to do as much as he had done in the past in Tennessee. And Lamar was running the ball. Lamar actually broke the record. He's now the all-time leading rusher at quarterback position in NFL history. So shout out to Lamar. Just continue to do more great, elite, historic stuff at a quarterback position that people want him to be a running back and receiver coming out of college. and he won the Heisman. So not bad for a running back, right? Um, but more back to this game. This was more about the Texans, I think, than the Ravens. Like Mike said, the Texans are just they're putrid, and they've been ridiculed with injuries this year, and it sucks because we had a lot of high hopes for them. A lot of people had them coming out the AFC potentially. Well, a few people. We had CJ Stroud in top 5 talks, which I never did, but I always had him at the back end of 10, but I still wanted more to be seen because it was only his first season. Um, Defense was elite for most of the year, but once the injuries started to pile up, it's been tough. Now I think Shazier has still been out because of the suspension, so I think he comes back next week. So that might help the defense a little bit, but it's just too much injuries to overcome for that offense. And I know CJ Stroud, the O line hasn't been as great as it should be this year. There's only so much he can do with limited weapons. So it's unfortunate because I actually really had some strong hopes for them to make a little bit of noise in the AFC come playoff time, but that's remaining to be seen given all the injuries and stuff. So you're lucky because they got the division one. If that division was any good, they probably wouldn't even made the playoffs this year. So that's my take on that. Any last remarks about that game before we get into the main topic?
Beyonce put on one hell of a show. It's probably the
No.
best thing about the game.
So funny. My cousin asked me about that. She's like, "Did you watch the Beyonce thing?" I'm like, "What Beyonce thing?" She's like, "It was the halftime show for the game." I was like, "No, I didn't even know she was doing halftime show. I don't care about that crap." I barely got to really watch the game because there's so much festivities going on at home with the Christmas and stuff and all the games and things like that. So I didn't really get to watch the game as much as I wanted to. But I forgot she was even performing, to be honest. But I will say the Netflix stream was pretty good for the most part. I'll say that. Unlike WWE, it was so much lagged. But anyway, we're gonna get right to the main topic. Who's the MVP? Obviously, it's a 2-man race at this point with Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. I want to give love to Joe Burrow because I feel like if his team was at least a little bit better in the standings and rankings, he would be in this conversation a lot higher than where he's at currently. Shout out to Saquon because he's going to finish third. Unless he breaks that rushing record, but even still, I don't think he gets the award over Lamar or Josh, considering this basically a quarterback award. But I'm gonna start off with you, Mike, and I'm gonna let Ty go right after. Who's the MVP?
Well, first off, as I told you guys in the chat, I really don't have a dog in the race. I don't care who wins, but I think this race was over after the Detroit game for Josh Allen because I know people love to shit on Stephen A. Smith, but he knows these voters, the 50 voters for the award, because he has a vote for the NBA MVP. So if he's saying that, I don't think he's saying that for no reason. I understand they're probably using his filler content on ESPN and what shows they have on Fox Sports and whatnot. I think either guy's deserving, quite frankly, but I like the way you worded this for the show. Who's your MVP? Saying it's us, because so we can choose. Like, personally, to be honest with you, it's tough for me to be honest with you, because Josh Allen, I think that without him, the Bills are probably a 3-win team, to be honest with you. And Lamar, he has more pieces around him, but even then, they're definitely not a winning team, like maybe 5-6 win team without Lamar. Like, I know in baseball we have the stat wins above replacement. Their WAR would be very high, but I'm personally not a fan of giving a guy back-to-back awards. Same thing for NBA. I didn't like Joker winning the MVP last year, so I'd like to see Josh Allen win it just so we can get a new guy in it. And another thing is Rich Gann said this earlier this week, and I think this is a good point too. The AP voters, they want to keep that 3 MVP class very like sacred. And he said if you don't have a Super Bowl, even if you put up like stats better than next year, better than this year, it's still going to be very tough for him to get that 3rd MVP because they look at more of it as a lifetime achievement award for the 3rd MVP than how you did that season.
Ty.
it's a tricky thing. But I agree with Mike. And especially with when like there's we know it's a quarterback award, and we're sitting here, um, we're not voting, but we know who's voting, and we know who they consider the greatest quarterback in the league right now. Um, so if Lamar Jackson was to get this MVP, he would have more MVPs than Patrick Mahomes. You know, this is like this is like this is like you know James Harden having more MVPs than LeBron. You know, while LeBron's having all the rings, they don't want to keep giving Harden the MVP. So personally, me, Lamar Jackson is having an amazing season. Um, if it wasn't a quarterback award, I would say my MVP would be Saquon Barkley because he took a honestly dysfunctional team and dysfunctional offense and put them back to where they was when they went to the Super Bowl. And I know records always play a part, but Joe Burrow got the best stats out of all quarterbacks right now. And he's still fighting for a playoff spot. And if he was to get the 7th seed, I would still think he deserves a good chunk of votes because the fact that he can still make the playoffs when we know how disastrous this defense is, that's an MVP right there. Because if Joe Burrow wasn't on this Bengals team, that's almost an 0-17 team. You cannot. There's a few quarterbacks you can replace Joe Burrow in that offense to put up 30 plus points almost every game. Because we know the other offense is going to kill that defense. But if I had to vote, I would vote Lamar Jackson because this, to me, statistically, is probably his best season. And he already has 2 MVPs. So it's a no-brainer. But, like Mike said, when it comes to the circumstances, and we've seen this in the NBA where they don't want to give somebody MVP, so they give it to somebody else, then give it to somebody else the year after because they technically robbed them last year. So I think it's going to go to Josh Allen, but personally, I would think it should be Lamar Jackson.
Now, you guys made some great points. Enough of this bullshit. Lamar should win this award, and it's a close race. Lamar is on pace to do something that no quarterback has ever done. Lamar is going to end up with 4,000 passing yards. He already has the 40 touchdowns in the air. And that's not including what he's done on the ground with his legs, by the way. He has 40 passing touchdowns. He's going to get 40,000 passing yards, and he's probably going to have less than 5 picks. The last person to do something like that was Aaron Rodgers. Oh, and by the way, to add to the point why no quarterback has ever done this, he might still get 1,000 rushing yards. Like this is college football, NCAA, Madden stuff right here. You can't make nothing up. Like you can't make this up. If you wanted to have an ideal quarterback season, ask a kid, they will say probably around what Lamar's doing right now, about 40 touchdowns, less than 5 picks, almost 1,000 yards rushing, and you have one of the higher QBRs in the league. Like I just don't see how. And I get it. Joe is leading the league in passing yards for sure, but Lamar's been probably one of the more consistent quarterbacks outside of Burrow and Allen this season. Now, I do feel bad because I think you guys know how I feel about the running back stuff. I thought Derrick Henry should have an MVP on his resume when he broke the 2K rushing yards. And it seems like Saquon's going to do the same. So I understand that, but I just don't see how Lamar doesn't get this award. And I hear Mike's point, which is a very, very huge point for those watching who might not know the behind the scenes how that stuff works. They don't want to give three. The same thing with basketball, like he said. When you enter that realm of 3 or more MVPs, and you haven't even been to a Super Bowl, let alone have a championship, the noise gets louder about what your ability is. Like, no, at this point, a lot of people don't care about what the Ravens do if they're not getting to the Super Bowl. So I can understand that point. And it sucks because this is probably his best season out of the 2 MVPs that he already has by far. Especially when you look at him throwing the ball. I feel like he deserves the award. I agree. I feel like they're going to end up giving it to Josh Allen because you look at the schedule too. He plays the Jets today, then ends with the Patriots. I think he probably wins out to keep that second seed. So with that, I don't see how they're not going to give it to him. My pick is Lamar Jackson. I don't think no one has played better than Lamar Jackson this season at the quarterback position, especially. You can make arguments because it's not like it's a clear gap, but in my eyes, it's Lamar's award to lose. And Mike, it's so funny. What if he gets the award, right? And he does make the Super Bowl and win it?
Oh,
Now it's a whole different way you talk. People gonna have to talk about him because now Super Bowl champion, more than likely he'll be a Super Bowl MVP. More than likely, this is hypothetical, of course. And he got 3 MVPs.
well, when does the voting happen for it too? Because I know they give out the award the night before the Super Bowl, I believe it is. Because that's the other thing too. So, say if the voting happens 2 weeks before the Super Bowl, because they got the bye week, and he beats Kansas City, that could change it. But if they have the voting happen right after the season, because I don't know when it is, I don't think he has a chance personally.
Yeah, I don't know the final due date for the voting. I can definitely look it up, but this is it's interesting to say the least. But I want to ask you guys something. Are we in the golden age for quarterbacks in the NFL?
What do you mean by the golden age?
When we look at the talent and what's being put up statistically with these quarterbacks, you got the Joe Burrows, Josh Allens, Lamar, Mahomes, Herbert. He's not having a down year, but even C.J. Stroud, Jaden Daniels, like the cream of the crop at this position is it at the highest peak right now in the NFL history in your guys' eyes?
I think it's the opposite. I think it might be the lowest it's ever been. It's because with the new rules to promote offense, you got the kickoff touchback, the new rules, it goes to the 30. That's to promote offense. You got the new roughing the passer calls, like the pass interference. It's more of a gray area than it used to be. The personal foul calls, targeting, which they don't really call much in the NFL. It's just all geared towards offense. If you look outside of the top 15 QBs, it's tough. Most of these teams can't even get a viable backup. So, and it's a 17-game season now, as before to when it was 16 and even fewer. I believe at one point it was 14 and 12. So, I think it's the exact opposite right now. But you have some great quarterbacks in the league at the top half. Don't get me wrong, but I think this might be some of the worst it's ever been personally.
Yeah, I won't say it's the lowest, but I definitely don't agree that it's the best it's ever been. Because I believe you have your 5,
Standouts.
standout quarterbacks. But I feel like 10, maybe even almost 20 years ago, we also still had those 5 standout quarterbacks, which are Peyton Manning's, your Tom Brady, your Breeze, your Rodgers, So, the potential is there, but I agree with Mike. Once the league is just, catering to the offense, it makes it easier. But I can't say it's the best it's have ever been because with all the calls and all the help the offenses get, somebody should already been broke Peyton's touchdown record and the passing yards record already.
Yeah, that's easier said than done.
Yeah, someone should have already done that, and the fact that it hasn't happened, especially with, like I said, the catering to the offenses, like, I won't say it's the best, but it can potentially be the best if we start eliminating all these calls and the refs like really call it fair, because we know probably like a few quarterbacks that get these ridiculous calls that help them every time. Then you go watch the same different quarterback with the same play and they don't get none of those calls. So if we're gonna call it fair for quarterbacks, then I think the potential is there. But right now, I don't think it's the best we've seen.
So, what will be the golden age in you guys' eyes for quarterbacks?
I think probably Garen. I don't know.
Because if you guys think about it, I'll let you guys think on it. Because at first, when I first heard this statement, I was like, I'm not sure about that, right? But then when I looked at it, what you and Mike said was very important, right? After the starting five quarterbacks, like the main five, like you have your Brady, Mannings, Rodgers, Breeze, Roethlisbergers, Rivers. If you want to put Rivers in 5 or 6 spot, however you want to slice it, it's kind of like a decline, right? I mean, Eli, he was mid, but it's like a decline. When I look at the quarterbacks right now, you got Mahomes, Burrow, Lamar, Josh. I said Mahomes, Lamar, Burrow, Allen, Josh, Justin Herbert, and then I would like to think CJ Stroud could have been one of those guys back then. And then even Jaden Daniels. I didn't even mention Matthew Stafford, by the way. I didn't even mention Matthew Stafford. So that's why I'm thinking, like, after the 5 quarterbacks back in the other era, really 6 if you include Eli, the slippage is it's a lot bigger than it is this current day. And of course, that could go to rules and things of that nature. But again, that's why I'm just thinking, like, off the top, like, could this be the potential golden age or the golden age of quarterbacks? So
I think Eli would be a top 2 quarterback in the league right now, and I wouldn't even put Daniels, Herbert, or Stroud. No, I'm dead serious about
a top 2 quarterback in this era.
Yeah,
with these quarterbacks, no.
Yeah, I'm telling you,
not counting Mahomes or counting Mahomes.
Not counting Mahomes, because top 2 to 3. I'm telling you, he's going to be right up there. Because you say Eli's mid. I can't even put Stroud, Herbert, and Daniels in the conversation. I put Stafford above those guys.
Justin Herbert is better than Eli Manning.
I don't think so. Eli Manning's got 2 Super Bowls. Justin Herbert hasn't won.
See, you went to the Super Bowl. I'm talking about just as a quarterback. He's Eli led the league in interceptions.
Yeah, 1 season.
Like, no.
See, that's the thing.
I think he'll be elite. I think he'll be elite quarterback in this era for sure. But to say top 2, hell no. He's not better than Josh Allen. He's not better than Lamar. He's not better than Joe Burrow. And then we only got to talk about Mahomes. That's 4 right there at minimum. He won't be better than at that position.
I'm telling you, it's not. The statistics are misleading. You got to look at what they.
Look at the tape. We can look at the tape for sure.
Yeah, I'm telling you, most of these quarterbacks don't have the arm strength that Eli Manning had. It's plain and simple.
Josh Allen.
Yeah, most of these guys.
I just don't.
Even Andy Dalton back in the day in Cincinnati, I think he'd be probably top 7 right now. Like, we don't talk about mid quarterbacks like Carson Palmer. He's a guy who'd probably be top 15 right now too. The quarterback.
I can get with Carson Palmer. Yeah, I can get with that. I can get with that.
Jake Delhomme, Plummer.
No. That's what you lose me with the Jake Delhomme part.
I'm only 26, but I think the quarterback play from 2005 to 2015 is light years above what it is right now.
And yeah, I would agree with that because of the main standalone guys. Like Brady's, Mahomes. Because of those guys as a group, they would take majority of that era. I believe I can agree with you with that. But as far as like the talent goes, outside of those, maybe 6 of those quarterbacks, 7, because Carson Palmer's a good name.
Chad Pennington, that's even another guy.
He's not better than the 7, 8 names I mentioned.
He'd still be top 10 right now. I'm telling you, these guys ain't all that great, man.
Maybe, maybe he's not better than Jaden Daniels.
I've only seen 16 games of Jaden Daniels.
That's what I'm saying, right? That's why I'm mentioning this, just the players this season. I can't talk about quarterbacks in the future, but what's in the league currently. I wouldn't put him over Jaden. He ain't better than CJ.
I think he's been better than CJ this year.
Chad Pennington.
CJ's been rough this year, man. I'm telling you. I think it has to do with his offensive line and play calling. Because I said this a few weeks ago. It's not solely on him, but I just don't think. As I said, I think the quarterback play is just not elite right now at all. There's a reason why they're doing all these international games to get talent pipelines out of other countries because less kids are playing football.
Is Chad Pennington better than Justin Herbert?
I think they're interchangeable right now.
What?
What has Justin Herbert done?
What about Joe Burrow?
Joe Burrow, I'll give Joe Burrow the nod over Pennington.
Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, I'll give all these guys you're about to name, but I'm not giving Justin Herbert that. Justin Herbert hasn't done anything.
What has Chad Pennington done?
He's taken teams to the playoffs and won games. That's the thing.
Herbert went to the playoffs once, and he's going back this year, so we'll see.
Yeah, and he'll lose first round probably, just like before.
I mean, I think they might lose because depending on the matchup, sure. But he's not better than Chad Pennington.
Justin Herbert has the potential to be better than him, but he ain't better than him yet.
What does Chad Pennington do better than Justin Herbert?
They have about equal arm strength. Herbert is more mobile. I'm telling you, he's more accurate than Herbert is, though.
Ty, go ahead. I can't. The accuracy, I'm not even worried about the accuracy part. The arm strength is nuts. When you hit Herbert's arm strength is in the same tier as freaking Josh Allen.
Yeah, I'm aware of it. I'm telling you.
Do we forget the?
I don't understand the hype around this guy. I don't get it.
Underneath the DN, are we forgetting that play?
I don't care about one play.
Remember, he was rolling. He's in the pocket. His body is sacked, and he threw it with half his body almost on the ground, 60 yards right on the money. Chad Pennington ain't doing that like that. I'm
telling you, I would still rather have Chad Pennington. Justin Herbert has not proven anything so far.
See, and this is the thing. I understand the proven stuff, right? But I'm just talking about who's the better quarterback. The hell with who's proven more.
Yeah, I'd rather have Chad Pennington.
It ain't like Pennington proven anything more than what Herbert has done. Like, Pennington has never been in a discussion to be one of the top 7, 8 quarterbacks in the league.
Yeah, because he played in a different era.
Okay. we gonna move. My point with bringing this up was the fact after you get through the first 5 for each era, or 6, which we discussed, I think it's a bigger gap and a drop off in the older era than it is current era. Now, because of that, I will give this era a slight edge. Now, when it comes to reading defenses, the IQ and all that stuff, I'm not going to debate that. But when you put everything in the pot, I think this era currently has the better talent pool at the quarterback position. Now, will they be better? That's remain to be seen because you got to go out there and prove it. But Chad Pennington, Jake Delhomme, I don't know, man. But I have some breaking news also. The Chiefs are expected to rest key starters in Week 18. That was reported about 20 minutes ago. Also reported, I have a funny. This is gonna hurt me more than it's gonna hurt anyone. You guys, Lab McConkey yesterday had 94 yards, 2 touchdowns. Do you guys want to take a guess of what rookie receiver he has more yards and the same amount of touchdowns in that game than they have all season?
Wait, what was the question? What was the back half?
I already know the answer.
Okay, so
I heard the first
McConkey,
half, but not the back half.
McConkey yesterday had 94 yards, 2
Yeah.
touchdowns. That stat line alone, he has more passing yards and the same amount of touchdowns as a particular rookie receiver in the same draft. You guys don't think of who it is. It's going to hurt me more. It's going to hurt you guys.
I know the answer. So, Mike,
This year's draft?
Yep.
Well, it can't be Jalen Polk, could it?
Yeah,
It is.
it actually is Jalen Polk.
Polk has 87 yards, 2 touchdowns this season.
And the funny thing is, the Chargers got led by trading up with the Patriots.
Just stop. Like, this is going to hurt me more. It's going to hurt y'all. And can they play Javon? Like, at this point, play Baker. I don't even care.
They played him yesterday.
Play him more. Because they like anything out of Polk. Bootie's our best receiver outside Demario Douglas. And I'm not including tight ends, obviously, because Hunt to Henry.
I think Austin Hooper is probably the second best receiver on the team, if you want my honest opinion.
Yeah, man. Anyway, we're gonna move along, man, with the show. Mike already put in the comments if you guys want to see updated pick 'em point spreads. We have myself in the lead still with 424 points. Clips is at 418. We have Mike at 387, Pacer with 378, Ty with 350. We got a couple more weeks to go in the regular season before we get to the playoffs, of course. But is there anything else you guys want to touch base on before we get into these blind rankings?
No, I don't got anything.
Any more outlandish quarterbacks like Jake Delhomme and Chad Pennington? Ty, what you think? You agree with Ty? Ty, you agree with Mike on that?
The Justin Herbert, Chad Pennington thing. Honestly, I understand where Mike's coming from because when we're comparing these quarterbacks, bro hasn't even won a playoff game. So like that can hinder your career. People want to talk about the stats. Yeah, he's gonna have way better stats than Chad Pennington. But if he doesn't win a playoff game this year, like, been in the league for almost 6 years, I haven't won a playoff game. But there's a lot that goes in that consideration. Whereas all the top quarterbacks right now rely in the AFC. Back then it was a little more balance to it. But there's a lot of things to consider. But to your point, it also depends what era we're talking about. Because if we're talking from 2010 to 2015, the fact that you had your Matthew Staffords and your Andrew Lucks and your Russell Wilsons with a Cam Newton, like that's a solid 9 when you still have the other 5 quarterbacks. Then you have Matt Ryan. Like that's not a bigger decline than it is today, in my opinion. But that's all I wanted to say.
Mike?
Let's put it this way. You look at guys like Tua and Justin Herbert. They were taking the same draft, almost same spot. Look at Dak Prescott. He's won playoff games, but he's never done real. I think he's won 1 or 2, but he's never really done much. They're on that same trajectory. They'll always be up there with the stats. They'll have winning seasons for the most part, but they'll never be able to get there. They're along the same lines as him. They'll cash the big contracts. They'll always have a job in the league, probably more backup roles as their careers go along. But you got a million guys. You only got I shouldn't say a million. You only got a select few guys that are like that in the league. After that, you get to really dropping off, like your Gardner Minshew's, what Deshaun Watson has turned into. You could even go to down in Bryce Young. He's one of those guys. He's not gonna. I don't think he's gonna be playing much longer. Even though people think he's making a comeback. You look at Aaron Rodgers. He's declining. He's no better than Kirk Cousins right now. I think you just got a ton of bottom tier quarterbacks in the league, and it's tough to even get a mid tier one nowadays.
That's fair enough, man. All right, we're gonna get into these blind rankings. Let's see. Which I want to start with: quarterbacks, running backs, receivers, or defense?
That's up to you, Ty. I don't care. I'm cool with whatever.
If it's current, I think running backs are the easiest. So you want to start easy or you want to start hard?
We can do running backs. All right, I got a list of the running backs here. I can just choose from. Let's see. Actually, I'm gonna say his name first because he's someone I wanted to talk about anyway. First name I'll give you is Bucky Irvin.
4.
Yep.
4.
He's gonna have a big game today too, by the way.
Next name I'm gonna give you guys. Chuba Herbert.
3.
Yeah, we could go 3 to play it safe.
James Conner.
He's on this 5. I don't know.
Yeah, 5.
He's on the
I gotta
same
say.
tier as all of them.
Okay, so you got 3, 4, 5 out the way. Next name, Kyron Williams.
1.
You don't think he got a Saquon or Derrick Henry?
I don't know.
Or
I
Jahmyr
think
Gibbs?
that's the other thing. I think Jahmyr Gibbs and Kyron are 2 of the best backs in the league. Personally, they're not. They're in the top 5 without a doubt.
Hey, I ain't gonna complain. We'll put him at 1.
You got Kyron at 1.
Yeah.
The last name, Ramondre Stevenson's.
He would have been
We should have
5.
put him at 5.
I couldn't make it too easy for y'all.
Wait, does fumbling not count? If fumbling doesn't count, it's okay. He's got talent as long as he doesn't
Everything.
fumble.
The whole
Yeah.
package. Real quick, these are I have the top 22 rushing leaders. Of course, Saquon's 1, Derek's at 2, Kyron's at 3, Jacobs is at 4, Bijan's at 5, Chuba's at 6, Jahmyr Gibbs 7, Jonathan Taylor's 8, Connor's at 9, Aaron Jones is at 10. 11 through 15, you got Pollard, Harris, Joe Mixon, Chase Brown, Alvin Kamara. 16 to 22, you got James Cook, Bucky Irvin, Dwiddle from Dallas, Diddle, probably pronounced
Rico
his name wrong.
Dowdle.
Yep, my apologies. Swift, Lamar Jackson's at 20. J.K. Dobbins and Ramondre Stevenson ends it at 22.
If Gibbs ain't splitting carries, I think he leads the league in rushing.
So that's the running backs. Next, we're going to do some defense. Let's do 2 different categories for defenses. I'm going to do 2 different defensive blind rankings. First one, I'm going to give you guys Byron Branch, Detroit.
4.
Yeah, what are we talking about? Dirty hits? He's 1, but
So 4?
Yeah, 4.
CJ Garner Johnson.
He stepped
3.
it up this year. Yeah, I'll put him at 3.
Marlon Humphrey.
When he gets a pick, he's good. When he doesn't,
5. Seeing he's a gambler.
yeah, he's a gambler.
You guys got him up behind Gardner. And Brian Branch. All right. Next name. Xavier McKinney.
Oh, that's 1.
Yeah, I'm
Well,
cool with
yeah,
1.
that's 1.
Unfortunately, I
And
might know the next name, which might have made a mistake. But we'll see.
The last name is Kitchens from the Rams.
Cam Kitchens, yeah, 2.
Yeah, we'll go 2. I'm cool with that.
I don't know how y'all got Marlon Humphrey at 5. I think he's been better than Branch and Gardner Johnson this year.
We already ranked him, though. You got to remember.
Yeah,
that
we
too.
ranked those
Yeah, I
2.
know. Yeah, but y'all had the chance to put him higher than 5.
Yeah,
Put him at 2.
way higher than 5, though. It's not like 1 or 2 spots.
But so these names that I gave you guys were some of the leaders in interceptions this season. Of course, McKinney's tied now at 7 with Joseph from Detroit. Marlon Humphrey's at 3 with 6. Byron Munfree Jr. is at 6 as well. Dante Johnson, I think is Jackson. I'm sorry, from the Steelers. He's at 5. Hooker from the Titans. Stingley and Bullock from Houston both have 5. Jesse Bates, Gardner Johnson, Stone from Cincinnati, Blankenship from Philly, Surtain, McCullough, Steele, Kitchens, Branch all have 4. And then Matthew and Woods have 3 apiece. So those names I gave you were strictly defensive players for their interceptions as the leaders in the league. Next, we're going to get into the wide receivers. I think this might be the toughest one. Actually, I'm going to do quarterbacks. I'm going to save the receivers for last. That's going to be the toughest. For quarterbacks, the first name I'm giving you guys, Tua Tagovailoa.
I knew you were going to do that. 4.
Yeah, we could go 4.
All right.
Okay. Should we even go 3, bro? Because this could be some real trash names on this list. This is a very thin list, as we were just talking about.
If he's starting with Tua, I don't
3 or 4 probably isn't going to be too bad. He's probably going to be one of the 2 spots. There's no way he can be higher or lower unless it's total top
we'll
half.
keep him at
bottom
4.
half. All right.
Next name, Baker Mayfield.
3.
Yeah.
Next name, Kirk Cousins.
5.
Oh, this is the interception.
You got to.
I was like Tua. That could be anything. Baker, okay. Kirk Cousins, yeah.
All right, so you got Cousins at 5. Next name, Brock Purdy.
Damn it! I'd put it. I don't know. That's 2. I
2.
don't think he's better than Tua or Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
All right, the last name I had for you guys.
Anthony Richardson.
Aaron Rodgers.
Oh hell no!
What? What?
Aaron Rodgers at 1.
I should have put 2 at 2. Baker Mayfield at 1. This list is all fucked up.
I just had to get you guys. I'm like, I know it's current day, but I'm not gonna give you guys all the best names this time. I told you guys I let y'all get to eat the good ones on college day. Today I got to get y'all. This was actually passing yard leaders.
Oh, okay.
Burrow's at 1.
Yeah.
Geno Smith's at 2. I almost said Geno, but I was like, nah, that'd be too easy. Goff's at 3. Lamar's at 4. Mahomes is 5. Baker Mayfield 6. Sam Darnold's at 7. Stafford at 8. CJ Stroud 9. Kyler Murray's at 10. 11 through 16, we got Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, Aaron Rodgers, Kirk Cousins, Brock Purdy, Bo Nix. And then 17 to 22, Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Jordan Love, Jalen Hurts, Tua Tagovailoa, and Russell Wilson. So those are the passing yard leaders in the top 22. Next, we're going to do another defense. This one's now I'm not going to say what this one is because Ty might be looking at it. The first name I'm going to give you guys, this one might be a little bit better. So I'll actually have 2 different defense. All right. So now, yep. First name I'm going to give you is Zaire Franklin from Indiana.
3.
The linebacker.
Yeah, we could go 3.
Zach Bond.
4.
Yeah.
Van Kinkel from the Vikings.
1 or 2. He's in DPOY conversation, even though he's not going to win it.
Yeah, well,
It's up to you, Ty, if you which one you want to do.
well, he's trying to trick us, so we'll go 1 this time.
All right.
So I gave you guys, let me make sure I'm not messing up. I said Van Kinkel, I gave you Zaire Franklin and Zach Bond. Okay, so I got 2 names. Perfect. The next name I have on the list is Buda Baker.
5, I guess. Unless you think it's going to be some trash-ass name, Ty. It's up to you.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a trash name, honestly.
All right, so we'll go 2 then.
Buda Baker at 2, and who you guys at 5th is Roquan Smith.
Yeah, figures. I would put Roquan over Buda Baker.
So Buda Baker is actually leading the league in total tackles this season. I know, right? At safety.
And that's not a good thing.
That's why I'm not mad at him being 1. And he's one of the top leading tacklers when it comes to solo tackles also. And he's played all 16 games. Zaire Franklin was a little low. I think you guys had him at 4. He's second in the league in total tackles. He's been a monster on the defensive side of the ball. So that's some plus. Of course, Roquan's 3rd in tackles, and Zach Bond. Him and Zach Bond's actually tied with total tackles. Van Kinkel is leading the league on defensive side of the ball as far as touchdowns. He has 2.
Yeah.
So that's why I put him up there. Had to show him some love. And that's the defense. Now for the toughest one. Wide receivers. The first name. Garrett Wilson.
3.
Yep, 3.
Terry McLaurin.
2.
2.
Brian Thomas Jr.
4.
Yeah,
I might
4.
do 2 receiver lists because this is a deep list. This also includes tight ends.
Oh,
Brock Bowers.
and once you said tight ends, I knew his name was.
Yeah, probably got to go 5. That's what I'm saying. I don't know what we're going to get. It's up to you,
Yeah,
If you want to put him 1, we can. I don't care.
All right, let's go 1.
Jamar Chase is the last name.
Fuck.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I knew something was coming.
I'm gonna do one more because it's a deep list when it comes to receiving. First name, I'll give you Jettas. Make it easy for y'all.
2.
Jettas at 2.
Nah, we have to put 1 because he
I'm
already
telling
said Jamar Chase. Unless you have another receiver that's better.
I don't know. This year, I feel like I know he's been getting a lot of credit this year, but I think Jordan Addison's been creating the openings for him too. I want to see what else he says. But it's up to you. We can go 1 if you want.
For those watching, man, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment down below on the blind rankings list. We're currently on our second and final blind ranking list for wide receivers. The first name I gave him was Justin Jefferson.
Because since he already said Chase, the only other receiver, I'm gonna make an argument for is Puka Nacua. So,
yeah, we could go 1. I'm cool with that.
We'll go 1.
Judges at 1. I gave you guys a layup there. Perfect. The next name on the list is Malik Neighbors.
5.
4 just in case.
Yeah, you're right.
The next name, Zay Flowers.
4 or 5. Because we already used
That's
4.
crazy.
Yeah.
Neighbors has not been better than him this year.
I agree, but we already put him at 4.
I know. The next name, Lad McConkey.
3.
3. Yeah.
I got 2 names left, right?
1.
1.
1. Oh, okay. The last name is CD Lamb.
I don't know. I think Zay Flowers has been better than CD this year, personally. That's part of his quarterback
Flowers
situation.
early.
Yeah.
CD 152 catches, almost. Well, he's done for the year, so he won't get 1,200 yards. He was only 6 yards from 1,200. But 152 catches, 1194, average 12 yards a catch, I believe. And I think he got 6 TDs. And that is the blind rankings for the NFL today. All right, Mike, it's the best time of the show. Right before the games kick off. Of course, we have our pick'ems. time to get into the best segment. Let's do it.
All right. So I put some of our picks in the chat. If any of y'all want to say anything about them, I'll put them in the comments after. But first game we got is Jets at the Bills. Bills are -10. Myself and Peso and Clips all in Buffalo straight up. Buffalo said they ain't showing much this game, just heads up. So I think they'll win just like last week, but barely, not do enough to cover.
Yeah, I got Buffalo straight up.
Same.
All right, next game we got is Panthers and Buccaneers. Buccaneers -9.5. Myself, Pace, and Clips all got Tampa Bay straight up. Chuba Hubbard ain't playing. No K Dot.
Playing really well though.
Yeah, no K Dot neither for Tampa.
The last time I wanted to pick them, and I didn't. They ended up winning the game in overtime. But I'm gonna go Bucks. They have to win today.
I'm going Panthers +9.5.
Tyler, I got to get right on the Panthers one time this year.
No, he's got them right a few times. He got them right last week.
He has? Oh, okay.
I got them versus the Chiefs. I was the only one to go with them with the spread.
Yeah, that's true. Next game we got is Cowboys and Eagles. Eagles are -7.5. Peso and Clips got the Eagles straight up. I got the Cowboys straight up.
You said Cowboys, Eagles?
Yeah. Kenny Pickett's and
Yeah.
so I got the Cowboys. I think that defense.
Damn, no CD either though.
Low scoring game. We sure are going to have over 7 points.
I got the Cowboys +7.5.
Jesus, this is tougher than I thought.
No, it is. I spent a while thinking about it before I put it in.
I'm gonna go Eagles. Straight up.
Next game we got is Colts and Giants. Colts are -7.5. Myself, Pace, and Clips all of the Colts straight up. No Joe Flacco. I know Neighbors is questionable. I don't know if he's playing or not.
You said Colts
Joe Flacco is playing. No Anthony Richardson.
Colts and the
Neighbors.
Giants.
Neighbors.
The Bengals need the Colts to lose too. My bad, Ty. What was that?
No, I was just letting y'all know Neighbors is playing. If that made a difference.
The Bengals aren't making the playoffs. I'm telling you.
And if you let Mike tell it, they got Shador at quarterback, right? Because it's the same as Tommy DeVito.
Yeah, I agree. Literally, you watch them, they're identical. And that's the other thing, too. The Giants probably want to lose this game because they saw last night what the drop-off is from QB1 to the supposed QB2 who really isn't. So they're not trying to win this game.
But the owner was at the Miami game. Watching the awards.
He's already said that. They've been saying for weeks that they're not interested in him. I don't know why he got those cleats.
I'm taking Colts straight up.
Damn.
These are some rough ass games this week. I'm sorry.
Yeah, some boring games. Yeah, give me the Colts straight up as well.
All right. Next game we got is Raiders and Saints. Raiders are -2.5. Myself and Peso have the Raiders straight up. Clips has a -2.5.
Oh my God. Yo, this is if anyone's betting money lines, these are the weeks to leave that shit alone. Leave it alone. Like, oh my God, the Saints and the Raiders?
Why? The Raiders are notorious for winning meaningless games in December.
Oh my God. I'm going with the Raiders straight up. That's because Spencer Rattler is the quarterback for the Saints.
Could be Jake Hayner. I don't even know.
Yeah, Derek Carr's not playing.
I don't know if he is or not.
I watched the highlights for that game. I'm not wasting my time. Hell no.
You're gonna waste your time even doing that?
I mean, that's what we do for a living. So I got to watch.
I'm joking.
Yeah, Aiden O'Connell's the better quarterback, so I'll go Raiders straight up.
Next game, we got another banger: Titans and Jags.
Oh God.
Titans
real quick too, there's been reported, which we already knew because we talked about it, but it's reported that Antonio Pierce's job is in serious jeopardy also, which sucks because I think he's a great coach. He's just in a piss poor organization. But Titans at the Jags.
Yeah, Titans are -1. Myself and Pace will have a myself, Pace and Clips will have a -1.
I feel like Brian Thompson is going to go off again. But do I trust Mac Jones over Will Levis?
Nah, Mason Rudolph's playing today.
Oh, that makes me even more happy, right? Like, oh my god, damn!
Not a big difference. Give me
It's
the
not,
Jaguars straight
like-
up.
And now every time we mention Tennessee in that defense, they seem like they can't stop a nosebleed. So it's like,
Yeah.
damn, do you want to pick them?
It ain't the same defense that it was earlier this
It's
year.
not. Screw it. I'm going with the Jags straight up. Don't even matter at this point.
Next game we got is Dolphins and Browns. Tua and Jalen Waller both doubtful, and Tyreek's questionable, but he's expected to play. Myself and Clips got the Dolphins straight up, and Peso has a -3.5.
I got the Browns straight up.
Got faith in DTR, huh?
No,
I got
faith
Dolphins
in
straight
Jerome.
up.
I think it's just going to be A-Chain versus Jerome Ford the whole game.
That's a fair prediction.
I got Dolphins straight up.
Yeah, we got you. All right, next game we got is Packers and Vikings. Vikings are -1.5.
Yeah, now we talking. Finally.
I got the Vikings -1.5. Clip says the Vikings straight up, and Peso has the Packers +1.5. The Packers aren't playing for much, so I don't think they'll show much.
Seeding, right? Can they play for seeding at least?
I think they can only move up one spot, I think, in the wild card. Where the Vikings are playing for the division.
Yeah, they technically got a lot to play for because the Packers can technically go to 5th or drop down
Can't
to
they
7th.
play Philly instead of the Vikings again for the playoffs?
Yeah, but they
Only
wouldn't
if
even
they drop to 7th.
They wouldn't know until next week because of Vikings Lions.
I gotta look at the seeding. I'm gonna go Packers straight up just because. Wait, who's home again?
Minnesota.
Let me give Vikings -1.5.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Vikings actually straight up.
Another game. So the Sunday night game we got is Falcons and Commanders. Commanders are -3.5. Myself,
Commanders
based on
straight
the
up.
clips, and I'll get the Commanders straight up. It's gonna be pretty rainy for this game too.
Commanders straight up.
I got Commanders straight up.
Honestly, the Commanders defense might make Michael Penix look amazing. So there's a chance.
Well, he couldn't throw for a touchdown against the Giants, so this is a big step up in
I mean, we
class.
could have had one if Pitts knew how to
didn't drop it. Yeah, no, that's true. Last game we're picking today is the Monday night game. Lions at 49ers. Lions are -3.5. Myself, Pace, and Clips got the Lions straight up.
I got Lions -3.5.
They're gonna go in there and bite kneecaps.
I think that they're gonna try to put up as much points as they can. I know Dan Campbell is pissed from last year's loss. So
They gonna hang 50 on their ass.
49ers are a really bad team right now. They're not with all the injuries and everything and nothing to play for. They're not in a good spot.
Yeah, I got the Lions straight up. Make sure there ain't no more news that have been reported yet.
there's basketball news.
Yeah, I seen that too. I was talking about that on the side. Christian Watson is not playing today, by the way. Yeah. That's the show. But real quick, yeah, there is basketball news. D'Angelo Russell, Mike, has been traded to the Brooklyn Nets.
That's where he belongs.
For Dorian Finney-Smith and Shake Middleton.
So the
And
Celtics
it's
should
also
got.
been reported that D'Angelo Russell is expected to be a prime buyout candidate after the trade. So he might not even stay in Brooklyn. But
He might not
we'll say
even
that for
play
the
a game
basketball
there.
show. We'll say that for the basketball show. That concludes this week's episode of the PICK6 podcast. We'll be back here tomorrow, 6:30. We're going to talk about some college football. We're going to give our predictions before the actual playoffs of the second round starts. We're going to have some interesting talks. I'll talk about the games that was like yesterday. Colorado's losing that final game together with Shador, Travis, Jimmy, and the crew. Talk about potential land spots they can end up once they declare for the draft. Carson Beck has declared for the draft. So we're going to talk about where we see him ranked as a prospect, and all the good stuff, man. So everyone that's watching, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment down below. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Thank you for showing love to us, and we see you guys tomorrow. You guys have a great rest of your Sunday. Stay safe. Peace.
Peace.
Great.